Todd Hubbard, welcome back to Truckin On, brother.
Glad to be back, man. It's been, you just said 2 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like around May or June of 23.
Yeah.
And I was pretty new in the podcast scene then. Like it was the first 6 months of the show.
Yeah, that was really my first full podcast that I'd been on. So that was fun.
Yeah. And then I heard you on Jeremy Mercer's recent, I heard your first one with him, but then you did another one.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it, my family reunion. I was there with all my cousins who, and like, I was like, man, I got to get Todd and Jeremy back on the podcast. Jeremy, Mr. Big Time, did not even email me back when I reached out to him.
He doesn't do email much.
I need to text him.
Yeah. I wish I could do that, man. I'm a slave to my email, but he's learned how to put it to the side, which I don't see how he does it, but I wish I could learn, man.
Really? I've got to get him on to talk about that.
Yeah. He's learned something I need to figure out because I can't get off of it. I'm a slave to it, man. It drags me down, but hey, it's kind of part of the nature of the beast. But he's figured something out. I've got to, yeah. When you do, I will listen.
He did not really figure it out because he didn't email me back.
Yeah, he may have.
I think like he would have, if he knew that I emailed him and asked him to be on the podcast, he would have emailed me back.
He absolutely would
So
have.
something's not working. I have definitely try to respond to as many emails as I need to respond to and none others. If it's somebody I don't know that's emailing me, I'm not responding. If it's about something that is business that I'm not personally overseeing, I'm not getting involved. I'm flipping it to my teammate who's responsible for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten good about that. We have a ton of listings. So, we've got a good system where we respond quickly. But yeah, a lot of that's delegation, but I'm copied on them. And man, it's like 500 plus emails a day. And it's like, oh, Lord, it is a lot to filter through. But it's, part of it. But get a good team around you. You can usually try to navigate it. But man, that's a tough thing to try to figure out.
The listings is just a whole nother thing.
It is.
I don't really have listings. We have some subleases across the country, but we have brokers in those cities handling the day-to-day and the building tours. But yeah, that business of having listings and building tours and turning on the lights and opening dock doors and all that and returning all those emails as different.
It is, and the big part, of the game is being responsive because, so much of what now, especially, the inquiry levels are off the charts. Now getting from inquiry to deal has been a challenge in the market right now, but inquiries are crazy. So it's, but we try to respond within 30 minutes. That's kind of our team rule to any inquiry on any listing.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I just feel like, and that's part of our service level to our clients. But yeah, it's a challenge because, man, it's the reporting and keeping up with the comps and the competing set. It's a whole nother level. And then we're doing tenant rep work on top of that. Man, it's just like, you put in the hours. I probably work more now than I ever have. And it gets, I kept thinking at some point in my career, I'll slow down a little bit, and I'm still trying to navigate that, but I have not done that. So I'm at that point, and I talked about that a little bit on Jeremy's podcast, just like 21 years in, man. And it's like, it starts to get you a little bit if you don't balance your life a little bit. And so I'm trying to figure that out right now. That's kind of my goal for the year, is trying to navigate that lifestyle a little bit, because I've got kids and very active parts of their lives, and I'm trying to devote that time to them. But business is crazy, and being a good husband and a good dad and trying to be a good friend and a good son. And it's a lot, man. So, but you know what? You just got to put in the hours, get up early and do it.
True that. Yeah, there's so much. And especially now it's the end of summer and back to school.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like every night there's something. And then during the summers, I do a lot of dadding during the daytime too.
Yeah.
I'm a single dad and kids are out, and Gina works. Their mom works like as a dental hygienist. So she's in an office and I work from home. So I'm picking that extra time up with the kids. So that does, and I prioritize that over work during the summer. And I really have ever since we got divorced, just because I can, and it's nice.
Yeah.
And that does bring life into balance that way. But when school's starting next week, I'm like, that's going to be nice to not be Googling what camps are going on this week. And like, it's every week, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's the schedule? But yes. So I feel like I do have a good work cadence where I'm really happy with it. I feel like we can take on more business, and I have a system that can handle that. So, and it's working. Have you worked with an executive coach before?
No, I haven't. And I've actually been thinking about it, because I do think I need to figure out something different, just because I'm one of those that feels like I can always hustle my way out of it and work my way out of it. But I feel like, we do so many transactions, and so it's so transactional that even, when I go on vacation or something, I've hired a guy that works with me. His name's Joe McCliney, and he's been a savior for me because he does a lot of our back office stuff, and he's the one that's responding so quickly, and he's helped tremendously. But his dad was a client of mine, and I don't think he realized how much business we were doing. And so I went to lunch with him one day, and he said something to me that it really resonated with me. And he basically said, you're kind of, I'm trying to remember the words he said exactly, but he basically said, you're a victim of your own success, is what he said. And that resonated with me in a big way, because you kind of, at a point, you do become a victim of your success because you're so busy all the time and you don't escape it. And I'm on vacation, I'm working, because people don't wait on you, and you're doing so many deals that deals don't wait. And so having that system, and the problem is, I think, and the challenge I've had is clients, they want to talk to me. You can't delegate at critical paths of a deal down. And so if a deal is at the finish line, they want to talk to me. They want me to get the deal done. And that's a trick.
Here's all you have to do is start selling that they're not going to be talking to you.
Yeah.
But that they're going to get all of the systems that you built.
Yeah.
And if there's a problem, you will get involved, but there won't be any problems.
Yeah.
Because your guys are well trained, and there will be minimal problems. There will be problems, but that's how I started pitching a few years ago to clients. Like, I was just upfront, like, I am not going to be handling day to day on this account. Cole is, or James is, somebody on my team is going to be your day to day contact. But when there's a problem, that's when I'm getting involved, and I can go leverage that. And that came to me really just out of that strive for balance. But I felt like I had hit a point of feeling like I would call it a spiritual awakening, or you can call it on the brink of a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And there is no choice. The nervous breakdown did not occur, but I was at a point where it's like, I can't be working on all of this stuff and keep my mental health.
Yeah.
I don't want to sacrifice my business growing, but I I can't physically do this or mentally or whatever. So how am I going to get around it? And I did hire a coach, Dan Coughlin. He was on this podcast. He was my coach for years and helped me through these things. So I highly recommend that. Somebody outside the organization, outside of your team, and like they just are a great, well, almost like a mirror.
Yeah.
For me, he was like a mirror because he was just like, what are you struggling with? Well, this. Oh, okay. Well, how are you doing things currently? Okay. Can you change that? You know, he just helps me think through things. And then it seems so simple on the other side of it, like any problem that we face in life.
Yeah.
Like hindsight's 2020, but I found coaches to be really helpful. And whenever I feel like I'm getting in some kind of a funk or there's some problem with the business, I will call him, or I have a handful of folks that I'll call, like maybe just for like a couple months worth of like sessions, just to like get locked in and get a new way of thinking about something. But I found that helpful.
Yeah, I think I need to go there. I mean, I think a lot of it for me is just control, you know, giving up control.
Dude,
and that's been a challenge for me. And maybe I am a control freak. I'm probably am, but I definitely will take your advice on that, because it's fun. I still have fun and I still love what I do, but man, it can get overwhelming. And like you say, when the business grows to such a point that, I mean, there's just so many things that you've got to do on a daily basis, and man, it can get overwhelming. And that's the thing. It's great because you know, if I'd look back when I started, 21 years ago and said, wow, I would have all this business, I would have taken it all day long. And I'm still blessed and happy to have it. But yeah, it can get you.
Here's another Tony Robbins thing. Would you consider yourself to be a business owner?
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself to be a business operator?
Yes.
Well, a business owner should not be a business operator. That's what Tony Robbins said at his conference.
Good point.
And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And that just came down on me. He's like, I own 20 different companies, but I don't operate any of them.
Yeah.
But I own them. And that I did business mastery with him. And it was a 1-week conference, like 10-hour days with him. And that him saying that one thing, I was like, yes, I'm a business owner. Are you a business operator? Yes, I'm a business operator. It's like, well, you can't be both.
Yeah.
And I mean, like my face turned pale. Like,
yeah.
What? Oh gosh. And he really, like, through that whole week, he drove home like, you've got to have a team. You've got to have processes for how you do marketing, execution, and managing your team. And then you need to layer in a whole group of people that oversee those after you develop them,
Yeah.
And then you can go do whatever you want to do, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that was in 2017, I think. So that like has been an 8-year journey of working with his coaches and then hiring other coaches, but trying to like get there, right, as a true business owner where I can leave and the service levels not being sacrificed because I'm not there. It's actually being improved, because what I found through doing all of this therapy and coaching and meditating is like, I'm not good at doing that stuff. What I'm really good at is relationships, and being able to utilize those relationships in a healthy manner, but to get things done, whether it's get hired or get a deal done or push through the finish line, or maybe just get somebody with a high level of power on the phone with somebody else with a high level of power that don't know each other, and just connect people, and like doing those things while that day-to-day deal stuff. I've just like was kind of like never that lit up by it anyway. And also like, I was not like, you've seen tremendous success working the way you work. When I worked like that and I was in the weeds on everything, I was not that successful. So that was a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I wasn't going to say, how can I find balance in my life? I was like, how can I grow my business that I like know I have some skills here, but I don't see, they're not translating to revenue. And I feel like I'm grinding and I'm not having the success. So you saying like your success is your worst enemy or whatever you said, like mine was, I didn't have that problem. I had a different problem. Like I was just bogged down in not being successful because I was not, I think like not doing what I am really good at doing. And I was doing a lot of what don't enjoy doing, not that good at.
Yeah.
And then I found people that like, they like to do that stuff and they're good at it. And like, okay, now, and I can trust them. And that's a whole nother thing. But
how many coaches have you been through?
I'm a coachaholic.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious. Like,
I don't even know, like 7 to 10.
Really?
Probably.
Had they all different types of coaches or?
Yeah. The way I saw, I think the first one I had Colliers gave to me when I was in a pinch, and that's when I hired Cole, and that was 11 years ago. And that happened because of struggling financially, and Gina was pregnant with a Betty, and I had like $25,000 in debt on my credit card. And like, what is happening? I went to Colliers, to David Pencil, who was our managing director then, and just said, man, I need like $100,000 just up front. Cause I had deals going. It wasn't like I was just dead in the water. I had big clients doing multi-market stuff, but it was just one of those situations where I was in a partnership where I wasn't making any money, and they were taking money from me, like not like in a bad way, but it was just the nature of the deals getting closed in the partnership, but this guy was just like really pointed that out to me the first time. Then I hired Reagan Dixon because I heard Jim Hazard had hired him, and he got me reading self-help books. Then I read like a Tony Robbins book or something and went to Tony Robbins. So hired a Tony Robbins coach, because I think most coaches teach something or some system. So then once I learned Tony Robbins' system, and I went to 6 of his conferences, and I had one of his coaches that works for him and coaches his style, it's like, okay, I already know what this guy's going to say for every problem I have now. So I need another coach.
Yep.
And went to another one, and went to Grant Cardone, and he had his own set of things. And yeah, Tony Robbins at that time, he was like $1 million to coach you one-on-one for a year and like 12 sessions. And he would take 20% of your business.
Wow.
And I read the 10X rule by Grant Cardone, because then the internet started feeding me self-help books, and I'd never even heard of him, but I saw something pop up like, this guy, it's kind of like, I'm listening to him. I'll read his book. And I just emailed his organization, like, how much for Grant to coach me one-on-one? They're like $10,000 per session, so $120K for a year. And because I had been thinking $1 million for Tony Robbins,
seems like a good deal.
This is a good deal.
Yeah.
Done. And so hired him. That was the most I ever spent on a coach, for sure. But worth it.
Yeah.
And learned a lot. And then I found Dan Coughlin, like kind of parallel to that. And Dan's who I was telling you about, and he's less like teaching me things. He's more like helping me think through things. He's like a business therapist or something, like, and I mean, I can always go to Dan if I'm like trying to look at doing something, some new line of business. Or when I did that development deal, I called him for that. Like, what all pieces do I need? Like, what steps do I need to take to develop a building? Because I've never done it before.
Yeah.
So I needed somebody just to talk through it with. So he's good like that.
Is he real estate specific or
no?
Oh, okay.
No, I think one of his big gigs was like training McDonald's.
Oh wow. Okay.
People. So he's super process
Okay.
oriented and is good at. He doesn't tell you the process, but he knows how to help you build a process by asking you the right questions. But I've used Liz Trochio. She is a Dallas commercial real estate person, to help me with some stuff last year. And we're friends, and I knew she's coaching some of my friends, and I just called her and said, hey, I've got this thing I want to like talk through. Can you help me? And currently not being coached by anyone really. So
have you ever looked into that Rod Santamasio?
Yeah, I had Cole do that. And I kind of was like his mentor. So I was paying for it. So I would see what they did. Some people love him, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It was a little too like regimented, like Robert Lynn style.
Yeah, that's what I kind of got from it. They want to have meetings, and you've got to meet it is very Robert Lynn kind of. Yeah.
And I think Reagan Dixon was like that when I worked with him. He had like tracking specific meetings, like who'd you meet with this week, and tracking your revenue and doing like, you definitely don't need that.
Yeah.
Because
you guys, more work.
You guys are the masters of doing that already.
Yeah.
But I did need it, and Reagan did that. And then I was like, okay, I've got that down now. And I had lost it since I was at Robert Lynn. Like, you lose it if you do that for what I was there for like 18 months or something, and you get away from that system. Like, it's very easy to let that go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to go revisit it. However, like 10 years later or something, or 6 years later, I got to a place, cause my clients were all multi-market people, like companies. And I didn't know how to cold call them, cause I knew how to cold call if I'm in Brook Hollow,
right? And
I'm working Brook Hollow. I work Brook Hollow. What are you considering doing anything with your real estate? Whatever. But I didn't know how to call them. So when I started meeting with Reagan, I had to Google like how to make a cold call. And I Googled it on YouTube and like watched these cold calling videos. And he told me to read a book. That was my first self-help book I ever read. It was called Book Yourself Solid. And it was all about that. And then that helped me like, okay, I now know how to put together an elevator pitch for what it is that I do and what value I create. Cause I just wasn't aware. I was doing tons of deals everywhere, but I just didn't know what value I brought to the table. Yeah. And gosh, that's a brutal way to sell something, is run a business.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really know what I'm selling. Yeah. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know like how to sell it to someone.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you just have this blind spot that you're not even aware of until I talk to Reagan, and he's like, dude, you've got to figure out your value proposition and your volume proposition and all of this. So, man, I'm a big fan. It like completely transformed my business and all of this stuff. It all really started when I quit drinking.
Right.
Because then I kind of took that addict energy that I had in alcohol and put it towards business.
Yeah.
Right. Immediately. That was my first kind of, okay, I'm sober now. I'm going to go make money.
Yeah.
And then it becomes finding balance after that.
Yeah.
Right. Like you got to like,
yeah.
But enough about me.
No, that's awesome. That's good. I've already learned a lot right now. I'm good.
Yeah, man. Call me anytime about that. Like, I'm the master of hiring coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
People tell me I should be a coach.
Yeah, you should be. I could leave right now and be good to go.
I could coach you.
Yeah, I may do that.
$1 million and 10% of your business. So the market, let's talk about the market a little bit. Like, you're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of inquiries.
Yeah.
And it's just moving a little, but getting to the finish line is still a little grindy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's cautiously optimistic now. I mean, so as you know, Fort Worth is where I do the majority of my business. And Fort Worth's been a little bit of a shining star, I would say, in the market. There is a lot more vacancy than what we've been accustomed to, just like everywhere. But their deals are happening, and I think just overall, there's a lot of deals out there, but things are just slow. Even deals at leases, there's not a sense of urgency. So you could be at leases and just getting lease comments back takes weeks. And I think tenants just understand that, hey, you're not going to lease it out from under me, so we're going to take our time. And just the deal cycle is prolonged. And so I think everyone's a little bit frustrated just at how long everything's taking. And then there's certain sweet spots in the market and size and locations. And then there's some that are struggling still. But I think overall, it's been, the first part of the summer was slow. I think it's certainly picked up in the last few weeks. I think it's a good sign going into, the school year, because usually that's when you get the big uptick, when everybody's vacations are ending, and then you start to see that uptick. So I think based on what we're seeing now, I would expect a really strong fall. And I think the numbers are going to be strong for like Q2. And I know those numbers are coming in. There's been a lot of big deals happening. I'd say overall, it's just, I think we're probably back to normal market levels, and we just been so
pre-COVID
spoiled.
levels. Yeah. I think that's what the number, I just wrote the blog for, my market update blog. And actually I was thinking Fort Worth seems to be the best spot in DFW.
Yeah.
Which is funny because 21 years ago, when you took that market, who knew?
Yeah.
None of us knew back then what was like Amazon Prime was coming.
Right.
And that was happening. But then, Fort Worth, their numbers, the numbers over there just are solid. It seems to have the most absorption and the most buildings being built, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like developers have kicked things back up a notch. So they came to a standstill after the interest rate hikes. But now our numbers say 30 million under construction, which is like a total down the middle of the fairway pre-COVID construction number.
Yeah.
And I think we're at 13 million absorption is what I saw. And that's down the middle of the fairway pre-COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're right. You couldn't get institutions to touch Fort Worth, and now it's the sweetheart spot, and it's all driven by population growth, and it's a business friendly environment, and there's land, and I think with that it just is the perfect combination for kind of that perfect storm of everything that's happening now. And so it has been a very strong alliance, drives so much of that. And Alliance has been very strong in Q2. There's been a lot. I did a building survey, for a client of mine where we were looking for, I think, 150 to 300,000 feet. And we had 13 buildings on that survey, and we revisited it. And that was for sale and lease. And we revisited it I think 60 days later. And out of those 13, there was only 4 left.
Really?
Yeah. So there's been some stuff coming off the market very quickly there. And a lot of those had been on the market for a long period of time. So it's very active now. So I think it's a good sign. And I do think that's why you're starting to see a lot of that new construction starting to pop again. And I think once these interest rates, which they inevitably are going to come down, there's too much political pressure for them not to. I mean, Trump hates Jerome Powell, and that's I think that pressure is going to force these interest rates down at some point. And I think at that point, you're going to see development start to kickstart as long as we start to see leasing activity pick up, which I think will happen.
Yeah. So you just built a house and you sell your house tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just bought a new house and I just put mine under contract last week. We just finished inspection period. the housing market's like deadest I've ever seen it in the whole time I've lived in Dallas, I think.
It's wild. Yeah. And I was telling you, you know, we have a really nice house, and we made kind of not the mistake, it was just by timing of when we put our house on the market. But, you know,
when did you put it on the market to sell?
It was probably now about 60 days ago. So it's not bad, but it
like
was
June 1st-ish.
Yeah, somewhere in there. But
that's when I put mine on.
Yeah.
Right at the same time.
Yeah, really nice house. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to sell your house so quickly and all of this. And we had showing after showing after showing and not a single offer. And then finally we got an offer, and I took it. You know, it wasn't even, we negotiate for a living. I was probably the worst negotiator of all time. It's just
me too.
Just take it. I mean, it's
when you're living in your other house already,
absolutely.
It's like, give me the money and get it,
absolutely.
Get it done.
Yeah, because I think the reality of it is in this housing market, you could sit for another 60 plus days, and there's a lot of inventory. And, you know, right now, I think everyone's waiting on interest rates to come down. And when that will be, who knows? And so it's a slow burn. And I would not want to have had that out there. And it just the pain in the ass factor of having to go check on your house and make sure that nothing's happening and to maintain it and all that. Just no, I was like, it's a good enough offer and let's just move on. So, yeah, but it's crazy that this market that was so hot, you know, for so long, now it is.
And you're in South Lake and I'm in Lakewood.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are two, like East Dallas and South Lake, are two the hottest areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I bought this house. I told you I wasn't even looking, and it just, my realtor friend showed it to me, and it is my like perfect house that I like long-term would want to live in the rest of my time in Dallas. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
it's gorgeous, man.
Thanks, man. But one story, like all these things that I like had in my mind, and then it sat here.
Yeah.
Even when I saw it, I was like, that's the perfect house, but there's no way. Like I'm good. I'm not going to go deal with interest rates and all that.
Yeah.
But then it just sat and the price dropped, like, what is going on? And I knew because of that when I put my house on the market, because everyone told me the same thing. This is going to sell immediately. But I was also aware, like, there's something weird going on because of these interest rates. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they go down.
Yeah, they will. And I think you'll look up and say, this is the perfect time to buy. I don't think there'll be a better time to buy than now. I just don't. I mean, like you say, you can't replace this. And there's so many people still moving here. Like the people buying our house are from California and they have to be in before the school year starts. I mean, people are still moving here from across the country. That has not stopped. And that's what's kind of amazing about the housing market, because you still have this influx of people from across the country, and yet the housing inventory levels are so robust. It's insane. But yeah, I don't know. Something's going to happen when these interest rates drop. I think we'll see the housing market probably go crazy. I don't know I'm not pretending to be an expert. It just seemed logical.
Yeah, I think you're right. One thing you were saying reminded me of Grant Cardone coaching advice that I got to tell you. And it's that, like, not negotiating, selling your house just to get it done for the sake of not having to deal with all of, like, just selling a house. It's stressful and it's time consuming. And Grant Cardone pointed out about anything like that. And it can be day trading stocks or selling a house. He's like, if you're spending the amount of time that you're spending doing all that on your business instead of doing that, how much more money, I mean, can you make?
Absolutely.
And it's like, if getting a house sold 60 days sooner in our world, like if we can put that energy and just the energy of being at peace that it's done.
Right.
But then on top of that, get rid of all that time. And I had to go over there and like fill up the pool.
Right.
And you're going, and of course the breaker went out and the dishwasher's not working, and calling an electrician and doing all this stuff over there, having to paint it and stage it and blah. I tried not to do any of that at first. And then it's like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do whatever my realtor tells me. But it's a drain. So yeah, it's well worth like a discount in price for me to just get it done.
Absolutely. It's a major distraction, and you're right. I've got other things to do, and it's super busy out here in this world that to just check that box and move on. And good for the people that bought it. I mean, and it was still a good deal for us, because at the end of the day, we bought it, at a really good time, 11 years ago. So we did great. And it's funny because Blake Kendrick, who's with Stream, he moved to South Lake about the same time we did. And he sold his house just recently too. He's also building a house close to where we are. So we're kind of in that same timeline, same area. And same thing happened to him. He had a bunch of showings, no offer. He got one offer and he took it, same thing. And it was all, it's just that market and
all these master negotiators not negotiating that.
We're just all, hey, smart enough to know, take it and move on. And timing for all of us that bought that long ago, we all did good. So it's fine. But yeah, it's funny how things take place. But yeah, we're hopefully, knock on wood, they show up and we're done tomorrow, so we're good to go.
Awesome. Do your kids go to school at South Lake?
Yeah, they do.
Do they go to school? Like, does Blake Kendrick have kids that are your kids' age?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So,
I imagine other commercial real estate folks are over there.
There's a pretty big contingent out there. David Gwynn's out there now. Tyson Irwin. Jeff Jackson, who works with me, just moved out there. There's Nick Lee out of our office. There's a big contingency out there. I know I'm forgetting quite a few, but yeah, it's good because the public schools are good, and it's a good community, and you kind of get anywhere centralized. You can get to the airport in 4 minutes, so that's nice.
The public schools in the Dallas Independent School District are good too. If you want to go to the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is where I'm sending my kids.
Yeah.
Same place I went.
Yeah. Hey man, that's a good way to learn.
Like, you'll learn how to spell. You're not even going to need to learn how to spell. AI is going to be doing all the spelling for you, son.
That is true. And it is funny though, how they haven't changed the curriculum at all.
It's funny that I'd never paid attention to it until now a little bit, and still don't really, but was never like that fascinated with school. And teaching kids how to spell the English language is so confusing.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like the GHTs.
Oh man. I know.
Like, who came up with that?
Yeah. God bless our teachers, man. Tell you,
God bless them. Yeah, there needs to be like a curriculum overhaul though.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Times have changed.
They really have.
I've talked about that a lot on this podcast with people. Just like the things that they're teaching are so dated in the ways that they're teaching, and it's not on the teachers. It's just they're teaching the curriculum they're being told to teach.
Yeah.
But it seems like there could be some easy tweaks there.
Yeah.
Because man, our kids are they're already grown up in a totally different world. Like Betty she's had a phone since she was 4 because she has diabetes.
Yeah.
So she tracks her blood sugar. So she's a master of her phone, but she does not text message. She voice texts,
Yeah.
Or she'll like voice where then it's spells out the text. I'm making myself sound really old now.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
she doesn't send voice notes, but she just voice texts. So she doesn't type anything. And it's just like, that's now. And the rate that technology is accelerating is so fast and so beyond anything we can imagine. someone said the other day, like when we had flip phones, like right around the time before we started doing this, I never had a smartphone until I went to Robert Lynn, and I had a Trio is what Jeff got me to get. That was my first smartphone. But if you told, can you imagine someone telling you like what an iPhone can do today? Like in 2002, you'd be like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
No way. But now think like that was 20 years ago plus. Think 20 years from now, what is going to be out there?
Oh,
like,
I know.
It's
insane. Yeah, it is insane. I mean, hopefully we, RFK's changing the health system. Maybe we get someone in that'll change the education system, because man, it needs to be overhauled. We need people like that to go in and shake things up. But unfortunately, in Texas, our leadership guys like I'm very anti Dan Patrick, but guys like that, they're just so old school that they're not thinking through it. They just don't have any common sense. So,
do you think RFK is doing anything?
I would like to think he is. I know they've already taken some of the additives out of some of the foods that are really bad for us, that have been in there forever, that, are not banned in Europe and things like that. It's a start,
I was going to vote for him. So
I'm
a fan.
Oh, I'm a big fan of him. I don't know how much his hands are tied, but I hopefully he has discretion to go do these things. Cause I mean, it is, you go to, it's, everybody talks about, you go to Europe and you eat like a king and you lose 5 pounds or something to that,
There
and
is.
You can drink the wine, and I know you're not a drinker, but you don't get hung over, and their food's just clean, and they don't allow all the shit that our government allows us to put in it, and
to get them more money, to get the companies more money.
Right.
That's all it is, right?
And then all of our people are overweight, they get sick. It's just an easy correlation.
And then go make some drugs for them to take. And then keep repeating the cycle. Like it is a really crazy world we're living in. And it's not that complex here, what's going on.
No.
The only thing complex about it is how powerful the people in power are.
Oh, yeah.
And how important their money is to them.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's frankly, like, I know you follow politics quite a bit, right?
Yep.
Like I'm the opposite, and I don't follow it at all, but I would, like you, and I know this from listening to your last podcast with Jeremy, really, because we never talk about it, but people like you that follow it, and I get along with, I'll call you and ask for advice. I have friends that I call and ask for advice when it's time for an election, but I'm not really following it, because that's also part of my balanced life living. Like I just wanted to move that energy out of my life, because I wasn't able to, it would just anger me, really. And so it's like putting fear in me, and fear is like the cause of anger, I think. So it's like, if I can avoid fear, and it's just like, if we can just change some laws and stop this stuff from getting in our food, it seems simple. Yeah. For me, it's like, do I want less fear in my life? Yes. How can I do that? One way is stop following the news, period. Right. Like, I just don't watch the news.
Yeah. Smart.
And it is, it's just, if you like to watch the news, then that's one thing. But if it causes like fear and anger and hostility in your life, then like it did for me, then stop. But it's not like a one size fits all.
No, I agree with you. I follow it. I don't follow it a lot, but I follow it enough that it is very frustrating, because unfortunately, I do think that whoever is pulling the strings, they certainly don't have the best interest of the people in mind. And I'm not just talking about one party or one person or anything. I just think there's so many things wrong that, my wife, as you know, has cancer, and we go for checkups, and luckily she's in a good position. But I go to MD Anderson in Houston, and you see this massive complex. It's like a campus, and it's a crazy, sobering experience to go there, because you go in, and to the area where they get blood work, and that's an area where you have people from the deathbed to people that are relatively not, maybe just been diagnosed. So you see all kinds of different people. But when you see this complex, it's like, what's the motivation to find a cure? Because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it is scary. And then, there's other countries that are treating it in a totally different way than we treat it, and doing it relatively successfully. And I'm not saying that there's a cure out there and they're holding it back, but I'm just saying, how can you be motivated to try to find a cure when there's all these people making all this money? It's insane. Money drives everything, and it's scary. And I think not just that, but in every aspect of the world that we live in, that there's so many people that have so much money on the line, and our politicians are getting money in their pockets to support certain groups and so they're not doing the best thing for the greater good. They're doing what gets them the money, and that's just an unfortunate part of how our system's set up. So it is hard. It's hard to understand how we ever get out of that. I don't know.
Yeah, because sick people make money. Wars make money.
No, absolutely.
Peace and healthy people don't make money
Right.
for anybody.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not if you're not going for the peace and the health, the other one, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to last.
Right.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So does that happen? Does the system get annihilated in our lifetime? Hopefully we can see that happen. But it eventually will, or eventually, like, I believe God/Mother Earth is going to smack back in a big way. And it's already happening.
Yeah,
right? Like, it's
absolutely.
like natural disasters are happening like on an almost weekly basis.
Yeah.
I was in Hawaii last week.
Yeah. I saw that.
There's
That's
a
insane.
tsunami warning. Thank God there was no tsunami. And I don't watch the news. Of course, Cole is texting me like, dude, there was an earthquake. There's a tsunami coming. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? And then, like, it sounds like an Amber Alert, but it's a tsunami alert going off on our phones in Hawaii, and the sirens are going. They're like, the wave is going to hit in 3 hours. Like, oh my God.
That is scary.
We had to evacuate our rooms, and then go to this little area at the hotel. The Marriott was great, and they like had box lunches, and there was an area with a TV, of course, with the news on. So I decided I may as well watch the news today and see if, like, watch this tidal wave approach us, tsunami. I don't even know what a tsunami is. I thought it was a water slide at Wet n Wild. And I mean, the fear mongering on that news station, and then like nothing, thankfully. But like, was all the fear necessary? Like, if you didn't know, like, do you not know that this is happening or not? Like, it's just, it was so weird. And then, but the whole time it was perfect weather, and it was the whole week we were there, and this just happened.
Yeah.
Like, who's in charge of this?
Yeah.
Where did this warning come from?
Yeah. That was wild. I did see that. And I saw you were there. I was like, damn, dude, that is scary.
They were like all evacuated. And I mean, we're on an island.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going back to an island for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I want, like, Mexico, you can drive inland, get a good beach there, go to California or something.
Yeah.
Miami. I want to be able to go into the land next time. Just in case. Have you ever had a mystical experience? Speaking of which,
I don't know. I've had probably the closest that I can think of is probably spiritual, maybe mystical, but it was really, I was there with, and I talked about it on our last podcast, how close I was with my grandpa, but I was there. I was the only one with him when he was dying. So I was with him on his deathbed, and he, when he was dying, he kind of had this moment where he was an old country boy, just a rancher, and he was lying there, and he loved to watch the rain, and he that was his thing. We'd always go out on the porch, and rain was such a big thing for a rancher, and so he would go outside and watch the rain anytime it did rain. And so as he was there, and I thought I spent the night with him, and everybody else had left, and he was morphined up, and it was over. And then he just had this awakening, and he woke up, and he just looked at me and said, "Yeah, I think a storm's coming. I can see it raining," and just like this just wild moment. And then it was just crazy, and that was such an awesome thing, because that's what he loved. And then I was there, and it was just being in that moment. And then just that was where, for me, with my brains always going, it was like everything shut down for me, and I was just with him. So it was, I don't know if it was mystical, but it was like a spiritual, like, awesome moment for me. So that was probably as close as I could get, other than maybe doing too much of a gummy one time or something. But
man, that is cool.
Yeah. But that was an awesome deal, because that was, it was just something that he loved. And then that was the last thing he did. And then it was he died peacefully. But it was a cool spiritual / kind of mystical for me in that way, just being able to be there in spirit with him. And so, yeah, that was probably the closest that I could think of.
Yeah. That's cool. You got to share that moment with him.
Yeah. It was awesome to be able to be there, because he was so instrumental for me. So to be there in his last moments was awesome.
Are you reading anything?
I'm not. I've got several things that I'm going to be reading, but I'm currently not. I've got to think what's on my bedside now, but what is it? I do have, I've got to think about it, Ward. I've got like 2 books on my bedside, but I've blanked out right now. So
are you like reading nonfiction books?
I've got
typically?
a World War II book, and then I've got the what is it? It's the guy that's I'm big, and I've been getting into stoicism.
Yeah.
So
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, I've got his book that I've started to read, and
it's kind of a hard read.
It is a hard read, but it's got a lot of nuggets in there.
It does.
So you've almost got to study it,
You do.
But it's that one.
I mean, he's just so good. Do you follow the Daily Stoic?
I do. I love that podcast.
He does a really good job on breaking out those nuggets.
Yes, that's a great podcast, and he does a good. He can bring a very difficult read and to make interpreting it in a way that's very easy to understand. But Chad Albert, who used to be with NAI, who's now, his company is Stoic, and he named it because he's huge into stoicism.
He is.
Yeah, and so he kind of got me on to the Daily Stoic, the book, and he kind of got me into that mindset. It's a great, it's almost, in a way, it's a little bit religious in its own way, because it just teaches you how to calm down and be present and all the things that I need the most help with. It just speaks to me. And so, man, reading these guys back then were just absolute, have the best wisdom. They really do. And so you have to, like you say, it's so hard to follow, but the Daily Stoic, the book, and just following that podcast is such a great way to just try to take something each day of how you can be present and not let something that shouldn't bother you or someone else, how they act and or how they are shouldn't upset you. That's just how they are. And you got to love them for who they are, despite what you may conceive as something negative, but you got to take the positive from them and not the negative. And that's always been a problem for me, is trying, sometimes I may be judgmental towards somebody when I shouldn't be. It's more like, hey, I love them for the positive things they have, as opposed to trying to dwell on the negative. And I think that's something that Stoicism is very good at helping with. So I've really gotten into that. And, even being a dad, I mean, it's so good being a dad, being a husband, with work, all of that. So that's something I'm into right now. And I think regardless of your state of life or where you are, I think getting into Stoicism, man, I wish I'd have done it earlier. I mean, it really does bring you back down to like understanding what is important and not overreacting, and just it's a great way and a good mindset to have. So there's just so many great nuggets.
Have you read any things on Buddhism?
No, but I've listened to you on your podcast, and I think it seems to have some of the same.
I think it's really similar, and I like the Stoicism like equally, I would say. I think it's like all coming from the same spiritual place, right? Like how to live in a peaceful manner. And one of the greatest rules of that is like how you respond to your surroundings. And then that mind control over that. Yeah. I'm really good at telling people about it, especially my children. Yeah. And then, I mean, last week, my son, my son's 7, my daughter's 11. So she messes with him. Yep. Like mentally. And then he loses his shit and will attack her. And like and I make him meditate with me when he does that. And like, no iPad. Like, you have to come in my room and meditate. And then I was like, be peaceful, be kind, be cool. Like, say those 3 things over and over for 30 minutes. Yeah. And then like that night we're at dinner and Gina came on this vacation with us. And I'm actually good at being a Buddhist or a Stoic or like being a peaceful person and doing all of this mind control stuff. Like, I'm pretty good at it, but Gina knows how to like, I just like don't have this armor up with her for some reason. And she will do something that's not even that big of a deal. Yeah. But it will really like upset me. Yeah. And so I'm like teaching my son this, and then there I go. Yeah. Losing my shit. Like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like over something stupid. And I mean, I'm good at immediately apologizing at least. Yeah. But I realized like that's a relationship I need to work on. My dad and I used to like really get into it a lot. Like, and we're doing way better. And it's because of that practice of just like, there's just a way to respond. Like, am I going to get upset by something that he says that upsets me? Which 9 times out of 10, he's not trying to upset me anyway. It's like, I am taking it that way. So like, and then I'm reacting without even thinking to these people who really I love, like, and are like super huge parts of my life. A stranger does it. It's way easier for me to just be like, who cares? You know? But it's like these people in your life that are close to you. That's when I find it harder to practice that.
That's always the case.
That's
though.
the ultimate test. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I've got like, it's a challenge for me. Like after last week, I'm like, I'm going to do better with Gina and just be what I told my son, just be peaceful, be kind, be cool.
Yeah.
And like, that is a choice that I
Yep.
can make, or I can lose my temper.
Yep.
And why is it so much easier to lose my temper in certain situations? I don't know. Figuring that out.
It is true though. I mean, but it's like, it's same with us and our family too. It's like, my kids are great kids, luckily. But my daughter's a teenager now and she's the greatest. She is an awesome, awesome kid, but she's great with everybody, but she'll take out her angst with us, and it's like we're the closest in proximity, and she feels comfortable with us, and I think we're really good parents with her, but it is sometimes that closest in proximity, you just get it, and I think it's just natural, and that happens, and same thing with sometimes spousal, sometimes that's just closest in proximity, and it comes out.
And the comfort zone's there.
Comfort zone, and then you regret it, and it just happens. But it is trying to find out that you got to catch yourself in that moment, and it's so hard sometimes. And then I'm the same way. When it happens, you feel terrible, and it's just like, but yeah, it's just like you got to find that you can't do that even with that comfort level there. It's just, you can't do it. Even yesterday, so my son's in football now. He's doing tackle football in 5th grade, and he goes out there and he like hurts his thumb, and he's kind of crying, and he's hurting it, and I'm like, hey, you gotta toughen up, man, get out there, and I'm just riding him, and he's crying, and I'm like, afterwards I was like, God,
which way do you go in those situations? Because I deal with that a lot too.
Oh, and I mean, I felt just terrible afterwards, because I'm just all over him, like, dude, it's football, you're gonna get hurt, get out there. And I think at the end of it, he thought I was just the devil, but he's tough, and he got out there and stuck with it and did it. But then I'm sitting here thinking to myself, golly, man, what did I do? Was that the right thing to do? Or am I teaching him to be a man? Or am I just being a really bad dad?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know the answer to that. Like,
it's hard.
That's a really tough one with my son, especially.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm harder on my son than I am my daughter. My daughter's harder on my daughter than she is our son. It's just a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
But I want him to be, he's a great kid too. And he works his butt off, and he's the smallest kid on the team, but he's such a hard worker and all that. But it's like, I don't want to push him so hard that he doesn't like it. And I want him to do it. But at the same time, you do have to push your kids too. Because if you don't, they won't, at this age, they don't, he is self-motivated, but so it is all those things, man. Because
you want them to have struggles and have to overcome them themselves, and not just help them avoid pain and struggle like that, or else they're going to be in big trouble when they become adults, and so will we.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I talk to him sometimes after I'm hard on him or something, and I'm like, like, I'm trying my best here. And I could be wrong, but here's what my thinking was on that and why I did that. Like, how did it make you feel? And like explain to him maybe after the fact, here's how I did it. That's something I'll sometimes do.
That's what I did. And I was like, hey, how did you feel? And he kind of told me, and I'm like, do you feel like I'm pushing you too hard? And he said, no, I'm not. But I kind of felt like he was holding back a little bit, but no, I think the good thing about our generation as parents versus our parents with us is we do communicate so much better with our kids than our parents did with us, and about everything. So it's just an open communication, and that's what we have with our kids. I mean, it's open about everything. If they ask us anything, we'll tell them, even those uncomfortable conversations about anything. And our parents had, and I mean, my parents are great, and I think just that generation had this, we don't talk about those topics.
Yeah. Or admitting they were wrong, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think I'm big on that with my kids.
Absolutely.
Like, I take ownership of being wrong.
Yep.
And when I did lose my temper at their mom, I was like, I lost my temper. I'm sorry. Like, I'm working on this.
Yep.
I'm reading books on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it is a difference, but hey man, we're not perfect. We're
not
gonna make
Marcus
mistakes.
Aurelius over
Exactly.
here.
No doubt.
Yeah, man. Anything else to catch up on? I know you got to drive back to Cowtown or to South Lake at least.
Man, no, I think it's just everything's clicking. We're just running fast, and everything's good, and we're just trying to keep our heads down and keep going. But I do think I'll take your advice on that coach. And
I'll text you the podcast and you can hear him.
Yeah.
And like, really, if you're like, nah, I want another personality.
Yep.
I've got a whole encyclopedia in my head of who to call.
Yeah, you do.
And that goes for anyone listening right now. But yeah, it's hugely helpful to do in times like when like change is needed.
Yeah.
Right. And it's normally so simple what change needs to occur. And it's not like drastic change is sometimes necessary, but for the most part, it's just like little shifts here and there that can go a really long way.
Yeah. I mean, it is such a competitive business that we're in, and we don't have, when you're going as fast as we do, we don't have, it's like playing, we're in the best market in the world, I think, right now. DFW, and competition's great, and we're all friendly together for the most part. But man, when you're going really fast, you go for so long, and it's like playing professional sports, but we don't have an off season,
Oh yeah.
There's no off season. And so it is like, man, at some point it is like, you've got to make an adjustment, and sometimes you're going so fast. And that's, for some of the younger agents out there, I do think it is important to take that time to make those adjustments. I haven't done that. Now, I've made adjustments in how I do certain things, but I haven't made that wholesale adjustment in what we're talking about of like lifestyle. And that is the one I need to make.
Yeah, man. And the summer lulls, like there was no summer lull this summer. It was full speed ahead.
Yeah, and there haven't been in a while. I mean, we've been so spoiled with how busy the market has been here, back when in the day, when you and I were at Robert Lynn, those summers were nice because they were slower, and there was definitely downtime, and where the market just wasn't as busy as it is now. Now it's busy all the time. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So it is just trying to find that time to correct and get yourself right, and it's all. And that's what I love about your podcast. You do talk about mental health. And I think, in our business, it's something that people don't talk about enough, because it's all between the ears. And, it's such a hard business. Not that it's brain surgery. I mean, it's an easy business to execute in terms of what we do. It's nothing is brain surgery, but it is a hard business because of the mental grind of it. And so when you don't take the time to get your head right and take the time to deal with the mental stress of it, it can really accumulate and get to you. So I think it is important what you're doing on your podcast, which is to talk about the things that you need to do to ground yourself and be right. So that's why I'm a P1 from day one. And I think
Thanks, man.
it's critical because it's, it's what I told Jeremy. I don't want to die and people say, hey, he was a great broker. That's such a small part of my life. I love what I do and I've been blessed beyond measure, but there's so many bigger pieces of life than that. And I think it's so competitive that people get so caught up in it. And I think everybody just has to take a little bit of a step back and remember that it's bigger than that. Life is so much more important than that. Being a dad, if you are a dad, or being a husband, or being a friend, or just taking advantage of all the other avenues of life is so important. And mental health is real. And I've dealt with last year. I just got completely burned out at the end of the year, and it was a real like palpable like feeling of like, man, I am fried. And it was more than just a typical burnout, because every year you grind and at the end of the year you're just like, bleh, I'm on bald tires. But it was like real mental burnout. And it's like, now you've got to make adjustments.
Yeah, man. And I agree with everything you just said. And I think like the 4 things that I think about is like simplicity, stability, surrender, and stillness. And like having those 4 things be incorporated into as much as I do as possible, and whatever it may be. But the surrender part is the toughest part for me.
Yeah.
Stillness, I can sit still. I can make time for that. But the surrendering of things, and that I think only happens with a faith in a higher power, whatever
Right.
that may be. And then also a belief that if you're surrendering something that you're scared to let go of, like the universe will reward you for that surrender. Yeah. Even though it seems like if you let go, it's like almost when you think if you let go of something, you're so scared. Like if you feel fear around it, then it's like, that's almost like the sign you need to let go of it.
Yep.
It's like the thing that if you have fear about having a conversation with somebody about something, like that's the thing, that's the conversation you probably most need to have
Absolutely.
in your life. Right. So I just look for fear. And like when there's this feeling of like, what am I fearing? Well, that fear is irrational because I believe in God and I believe like I'm a good person and I'm doing the right things here. So if I've got fear to let go of this thing that's dragging me down, like I've got to just have faith in God. Like I'm going to let it go. And then, I mean, not 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, it's like boom. And like the rewards are beyond my expectations every time.
Yeah.
But that is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. And that's probably the one I struggle with the most. But I agree with all of those. And it is funny, in our culture at Robert Lynn, we've never addressed that. And they had a training meeting the other day. For the first time, it was actually a topic, and Mark Miller led that meeting. And I was just baffled because Mark has dealt with it, and you would never think that, because Mark is so steady and such a warrior in so many ways and the kindest, nicest guy. But it was nice to hear that, because when you hear from other people that, hey, everyone deals with it, it's not like anyone's immune from it. Everyone deals with it. Then it makes it more like, oh, okay, we're all dealing with it.
Yeah. And that's a great thing to recognize. Everybody's dealing with it.
Yeah. So you don't have to feel like it's just me and I'm going to fight my way through it. And that's always been my thing, is I'm going to fight my way out of it. I'm going to hustle my way out of it. I'm going to grind my way out of it. That is not the solution ever. And I've done that for so many years, and it's just not the way to do it. You just dig yourself into a deeper hole. So I just think it's a recognition. And when you feel that way and recognize it, it is like, that's the first step. and then go seek whatever it is. And those 4 things you just said are so critical. So I think it is. That's what I love about listening to you and trying to do it. Trust me, I've got a long way to go to get there. I'm in the early stages of trying to find that place for me, but I'm on that journey, and I'm on the beginning stages of it. But like I said, recognition is the first step.
Another thing that I've learned along the way is that whenever I think I've gotten there,
Yeah.
then the universe lets you know, like, basically you're never gonna be like this. There's going to be test after test and challenge after challenge, and like almost just surrendering. Like, this is just kind of another job that we have is juggling this.
Right.
And I mean, I'm at peace in Maui and we were getting along great. And then, hey, a tsunami warning. I've like been really working on fear. I was scared to death when I first started. Like, I started processing that after the hill country floods and hearing all of those stories and like thinking, okay, like I've got all of our stuff. Like, I've got a fanny pack with the insulin and diabetes gear. Like, what happens if we lose food and power and water? Like, who knows? And that fear, it's just almost like the universe is like, here you go. Here, try to learn how to deal with this.
Right.
And then I feel like Gina and I are getting along great, but then boom, something happens where it's just constant, man.
Life is always going to throw stuff at you, and you just have to recognize that and know that when you're in the good place, you stay in it, and you're going to have bumps, and then you got to get back to it. But you're right, man. It's a journey.
Yeah, it's just like, be grateful for the good times. And then when the bad times are happening or the tough times, then it's just like, know that there's going to be a lesson.
Right.
And if you remain and just be conscious, like, this is happening, there's a lesson here.
Right.
Like, that's why I'm feeling this way. So what is the lesson? And then that's where that stillness comes in really handy. And if you go sit down and meditate and just like be quiet, then your mind will almost just like come up with, here's what. You put the pieces together, or hire a coach, and that's another thing. So like, or go talk to a friend. Like, go get another set of eyes on it. Right on, brother.
Oh, that's awesome.
What a great talk. I love you, and I'm so glad you made the trip over here.
Yeah, awesome place, man. Thanks for having me again, and we'll do it again.
Right on. Thanks for trucking on.
All right.
Peace.